Okay, today I'll be going over how to add a new extension to an existing customer in the PBX. Today's customer is CA Redding. They'll be adding a 2170 to their existing phones. Here is CA Redding's main extension screen.
You gotta get into CA Redding.
On the top right, you want to make sure you have CA Redding selected. Okay, so the first thing you want to do is plug in your phone, your new 2170, and boot it up. Make sure that this phone is on the same network that your computer is on. Once the phone is booted, you want to make sure that your firmware is up to date. So you can press the up arrow on your phone to see what the firmware version is. This phone is up to date, so we're able to start our programming in the PBX. First thing we'll do is log into the phone. So here's my PBX screen. I'll open up a new tab and I'll press the up arrow on my 2170 to find the IP address. This IP address is 192.168.1.10. So that's what I'll enter into my web address bar, 192.168.1.10. Enter. This brings me to the phone's login screen. Default login is lowercase admin. Default password is also lowercase admin. Once you're in and you have the latest firmware, the phone will ask you to change your password. The current password is admin, lowercase, and the new password can be anything you want because after we're finished, it'll change anyway. So for now, I'll just type in ASAP and save it. Once I have it saved and I'm logged into the phone, once I have it saved and I'm logged into the phone, I'll go back to the PBX and I will start my process. We'll go over here to the right and click New SIP peer. If we were creating more than one extension, we would click Bulk SIP peers, but because it's only one, we'll click New SIP peer. And on the right here, you can see all of their existing extensions. Their last extension is extension 111. So we'll make this new extension 112. Okay, for now we'll name it EXT112. EXT is for extension. Then we'll scroll down a little bit, and for codecs, we'll use this drop down menu and select G.729A and add that to the list. Now there's 4. We'll scroll down some more to the voicemail section. Voicemail MWI. We'll change this to voicemail same as number. This means that when we click save at the bottom of this page to create this extension, it'll also create the voicemail box for this extension. So we'll scroll down to the outbound recording field. Always record, we'll change that to yes to match the other extensions. Scroll down further to outbound calls. Here is where we choose what caller ID we want this extension to have. So CA Redding wants their main number to show up whenever they call from any phone, so we'll choose their main number from the list. For this option, we'll choose CA Redding to match the other extensions for the CID name. We'll scroll down a little further to additional destinations active if checked. Here is where we choose what happens on no answer, what happens on busy, and what happens on offline. So this second field down, we want to choose same as number. So instead of clicking the drop down and scrolling all the way down to find it, we'll just click in the box and type in SAME, same, and it'll come up for us. Voicemail, same number. We'll do that for this field as well, and this third field. Okay, so on no answer, on busy, and on unreachable, it'll all go to the new voicemail that'll be created for this extension. And we'll scroll down to the bottom and click save. Once we click save, this creates the new extension. See it here, 112. And it also creates the new voicemail box. So let's go to the voicemails here on the left. And if you cannot see all of your voicemails, that's because this little drop down menu says only show 10. We'll change it to show all entries. And now you can see the new voicemail box, 112. Let's go into that voicemail box and make a small change to the time zone. This is where we want to make the change. Time zone, we'll change it to America, Los Angeles, Pacific time to match the other voicemail boxes. Scroll down to the bottom, click save. Once you click save, all changes to voicemail are finished. So we'll go back to extensions. There's our extension. Okay, now we will go and handle our provisioning. So you come down here on the left and click provisioning, and then you click phones. Let's go ahead and change this drop down to all for show all entries. Here are all of our provisioning files. So what we want to do is we want to duplicate our last extension on this list simply because it has the closest configuration as far as buttons go to what we want on this new provisioning file. So if you look here on the right, you have a little icon with 2 pages that says duplicate phone if you hover over it. Once you click that, it'll create a duplicate of your last extension. You see on the top it says duplicate of extension 111. We'll click that to go into it. First thing we want to do is change the name. We want it to say EXT112. First thing we want to do is change the name. We want it to say EXT112. Delete whatever you have to make it say EXT112. Because we're adding a 2170, this field is fine. Next, we want to change our MAC address. So we'll delete this MAC address because this is 111's MAC address. And we'll come up here to our tab where we logged into the phone. And we'll go to status, hover over status, and choose network status. This will display your MAC address. We'll copy the MAC address, go back to our PBX, and we'll paste our MAC address into the MAC address field. Next, for line 1, we'll change it to the new extension, extension 112. Then we'll scroll down to the bottom and save it. After we save it, we'll go back into that provisioning file we just created, 112. Scroll down to the bottom and choose Auto Provision Values. This is where you see all the buttons that are programmed on your 2170. So we'll scroll down to the BLF keys. Here are the line appearances. Scroll down some more. Here are the part keys. We'll keep going. Here are the soft keys. Now we're starting to see BLF keys. We want to go down to the end of the list. Here we are. Button 23 is the next available button for BLFs. So for the type, we want to choose BLF. Notice there's 4 fields for each button: type, account, description, and value. For the type, we'll choose BLF. The account stays at account 1 always. The description will be the new extension 112. You can select, after you type in the extension number, you can select it when it shows up underneath the field. And the value is also 112. Notice I selected it under the field after I typed in 112. Now it says 112-CARC. After we add that, we scroll down to the very bottom and save it. We'll scroll down a second time and save it a second time. What we just did was we added the last extension, extension 112, to the, what we did just now was we added extension 111 to the new phone, extension 112. So once we provision 112, extension 111 will come up as a BLF. Okay, now it's time to upload the provisioning file to our phone. No, I lied. Okay, now it's time to get the dial plan for this tenant and save it into our phone before we upload the provisioning file. So what you want to do is, if you have access to the other phones that are already active on the PBX, you would log into one of those phones and steal the dial plan and paste it into your new phone's dial plan. But in this case, we don't have access to the other phones, so I will go to a place on my computer where I store all of my dial plans for each tenant. Once I get that dial plan, I'll go back into the phone where we typed in the IP address and logged in, and I'll hover over accounts, hover over account 1, and choose call settings from the menu. This will bring up the screen where you will paste the new dial plan into the dial plan field. This is where you paste it. Once you hit paste, it's there. You scroll down to the bottom and click Save and Apply. Once you save and apply, you're ready to upload your provisioning file. So we'll go back into the PBX. We're looking at our provisioning screen. You can see your extension 112. You can see the correct MAC address. And over to the right of the MAC address, you see a auto provisioning URL. So what you'll do is you'll copy this from the right side, that first slash, all the way to the A in ASAP, the first A. Okay, that means you will exclude this HTTPS : // So we'll hit copy. We'll go back into our phone where we typed in our IP. We'll come over to the right at the top, hover over maintenance, and choose upgrade and provisioning. We'll scroll down to about halfway on the page and find where it says config server path. This is where you paste your auto provision URL. There it is. Scroll down to the bottom and click Save and Apply. Once you save and apply, you'll scroll to the top and you'll click Provision. Once you click Provision, this will send a request to the phone that tells the phone what config path to follow. So let's click Provision. It says Sending Provision Request. Your phone will go offline and it will reboot. During the reboot, it will read the file and it will come up as your new extension. This process takes about 4 to 5 minutes. After the phone comes up, it might not grab the file right away. Just give it a minute and you'll see that it comes up as your new extension. And that's how you add a new extension to an existing PBX.